Hi everyone! For this video, we're going to be talking about the consequences of plastic pollution in our oceans, specifically on larval fish. We really want to make sure that you leave this video feeling informed and ready to help make a difference. This video was made by myself, Magda, Anna, and Jonas, and the three of us hope you enjoy. Plastic is never truly able to break down, but instead breaks up into small pieces. Almost every piece of plastic ever made is still on our planet. Most waste comes from product packaging and single-use plastics, also containing microplastics. Every year, 8 million tons of plastic ends up in the ocean. And to help you further understand this problem, take a look at this short video made by the Plastic Soup Foundation.
Plastic has become like a dangerous disease. These nurdles washed ashore on Hong Kong's beaches after a cargo container tipped during a typhoon. Plastic pieces look exactly like small eggs. No wonder sea animals eat them. This whale swallowed plastic. It's dying. This shearwater is dying. Look at what it has got in its stomach. Scientists think 90% of all seabirds have swallowed plastic. Many fish have swallowed plastic. We eat fish, so the harmful chemicals from the plastic can enter our bodies too. What can we do to put a stop to this ocean of plastic?
Now, to clarify, we wanted to define microplastics. Microplastics are very small pieces of plastic that pollute the environment. They're not a specific kind of plastic, but rather any type of fragment that's less than 5 millimeters in length, according to the U.S. National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. When we investigated how to solve this problem, we wanted to work with professionals on this topic. This presented the opportunity to talk to Jonathan Whitney, a postdoctoral researcher at the University of Hawaii. He studies fish biology, ecology, and genomics. He has recently been studying plastic pollution and its distribution in ocean currents.
We had a unique opportunity to speak with a marine researcher who studied the effects of plastic in our oceans. He and fellow researchers conducted an experiment on the West Hawaii coastline and discovered that many fish larvae were ingesting plastic, mistaking the tiny pieces as prey. Many young fish spend their first days or weeks of life at the ocean surface for feeding and development. The newly hatched fish often live in areas called slicks, which are long and narrow lines of smooth surface water. Two slicks are shown side by side in this image, and you may also notice that these areas have unusually high densities of marine organisms. In the marine experiment, the median density of larval fish was found to be 28-fold higher in the slicks than nearby waters. Surface slicks are packed with phytoplankton for the larval fish to eat, so many young fish from different habitats come to these areas for feeding and development. Lots of larval fish collect in the slicks, making these important areas central to protect. Although there are lots of food for the larval fish to eat and protection from bigger predators in the slicks, researchers found concerning quantities of plastic in these areas. To put this into perspective, the plastic densities in the Hawaiian slicks were about 8 times higher than the Pacific garbage patch. The plastic densities in the slicks were also a striking 126 times more concentrated than surrounding areas. When plastic winds up in the oceans, it breaks down over time into smaller plastic particles called microplastics. These microplastics are similarly sized and shaped to the phytoplankton that larval fish eat. As you can all predict, this is a huge problem for larval fish. The researchers found an alarming amount of microplastics in the surface slicks, and many larval fish ingested these very small pieces. Most microplastics found were less than 1 millimeter long, and there were 7 times more plastics than larval fish found. Examples of the larval fish and their ingested microplastics from the experiment are shown here. Many of us imagine water bottles and bigger pieces of debris when imagining plastic pollution in the oceans. However, microplastics are also a big issue to address. One big question we asked was, how do the microplastics affect the larval fish? This is a big question that is still unknown to researchers. There are many possible ways that microplastics harm larval fish, such as blockage in the gut, lack of nutrition, toxic effects, limited development, and lowered survival. Small plastics can be absorbed into the muscle tissue, negatively affecting the fish's health. If fish experience impacts after ingesting plastic, their ability to reproduce and continue the fish population is at risk. It is also possible that plastic limits larval fish ability to recognize predators and thus protect themselves. If less larval fish survive, there will be less adult fish too. Lower quantities of adult fish affect many different organisms in the ocean with very negative consequences. Their protection affects other animals like crabs, seals, whales, sharks, and even humans as well who eat fish. Thus, larval fish are extremely important to marine ecosystems. The next important question is, what can we all do to limit plastic pollution in our oceans and protect larval fish?
One of the things you can do to help reduce the amount of microplastics in the ocean is use reusable water bottles like hydro flasks. Staying away from plastic water bottles and soda bottles helps lower the amount of big plastic in the ocean that can break down into dangerous microplastics. Another thing you can try to avoid using are things called single-use plastics, which are any plastic object that you only use one time and throw away, like plastic straws and plastic bags, as these often end up in the ocean. Most of these single-use plastics that end up in the ocean come from 3 big companies: Coca-Cola, Nestle, and Pepsi. One way for us to reduce the amount of plastic in the ocean on a big scale is to make these companies clean up the mess they made by passing laws that makes them responsible. This can be done by using large boats that sweep through the ocean and pick up plastic. The big downside to these boats is that they are expensive, but if multi-billion-dollar companies like Coca-Cola are held accountable, they can pay for it to be done. So, we hope you guys learn more about the dangers of plastic pollution in the ocean and why it's an important issue to know about. A lot of people think that it's too big of a problem to solve, but if everyone does their part and big companies help out, we can make a big difference. Thanks for watching.